Everything looks actually really, really good.
Well,
Because I'm looking at you guys. Welcome back to the studio. Suna Wolf, Master Schoolsgoer, great to have you guys in here. So we come into the studio real quick because Meta and Friends just released, amongst other things, this brand new, really shiny headset that we're going to get to in a moment. They also talked about some other things. There are legs, there are torsos, there are friends that are going to be joining the Meta ecosystem. So you guys both saw it. It was Meta Connect last Tuesday. You watched it live, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and what was your initial reaction? You finished it. You pressed close, whatever. How'd you feel afterwards?
I think I felt good. A lot of the stuff that came out was what we kind of expected, I think. So.
And what did you expect?
Well, a headset that, was, of course, better than the Quest 2 headset that is out there right now.
It would be strange if it was worse.
Of course. And I also expected a more business-orientated headset.
Okay, all right. Seems as though we got that.
That's exactly what we got here. Also with the price tag, it's definitely not so consumer-friendly as the Quest headset.
Right. And we're getting into that hefty price tag in a minute. Suna, what was your visceral feeling afterwards?
yeah, I think the most surprising thing was the and friends that you sort of hinted at. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, showed up.
Yes, he did.
As a recording, but still announcing a partnership.
That wasn't live?
No, I don't think so. I think
I think the whole thing was pre-recorded.
It was, yeah. But announcing a partnership with Meta, also the CEO of Accenture also showed up. So there's definitely speaking into the entire maturity of a more enterprise-focused platform, which I found to be the most interesting.
Absolutely.
But mainly because all of the things about the headset was already sort of leaked and hinted at.
Yeah, it wasn't a big surprise,
There were no big surprises, but it lived up to sort of what you would expect. So I think the partnerships was more of a sort of surprise, at least, but a very positive one in my point of view.
Cool. We're going to dig into that in a second as well. But so this is for all the people who are part of the larger Synergy XR community. Maybe not everybody's like us. Maybe they're not big XR nerds like us, so they weren't tuned into it. They weren't watching it live. So what we're trying to do today is kind of break down for these people what's inside the headset. What can they be expecting? What does it mean to have a partnership with Accenture? What does it mean to have a partnership with Microsoft? But most importantly, what does it mean for us here at Synergy XR? If we start by looking at this, my first thought, it looks pretty cool. Looks really nice. It's got these in the front. It looks as though the screen has a lot of cameras. You want to walk us through what we're looking at least in terms of the actual headset?
Yeah,
Suna?
Yeah, so sensor-wise, there's actually only a single camera more than on the Quest 2. So there were 4 front-facing, now there are 5. One of the biggest differences there is that it's with color, so it enables what's called color pass-through. So you can actually see the real world in colors, and they do a lot of fancy software, algorithms to stitch together, so it looks not very distorted, which is quite impressive.
So is it almost the same as just you and I looking at each other?
It would be like looking through a recording camera, basically. So there will be a slight delay because it is a camera that records and then shows it on the screen, right? But it looks quite promising.
My initial thought was it looks so sad. Those are like sad eyes,
droopy eyes.
Droopy eyes.
Yeah. I don't think that's on purpose. I think it's just a matter of I don't know. But worth mentioning as well, there are also 5 inward-facing cameras. So 2 for tracking eyes, so 1 for each eye, and then 3 for facial expressions.
Now, why? Yeah, okay. So facial expressing, eye tracking. What does that result in?
Well, 2 things. Of course, the obvious one is to be able to have more expressive avatars. So being able to show all
So when I smile, my avatar smiles.
Exactly, and it's not just a smile. It sort of transfers to your entire your eyebrows raise a bit and stuff like that. All that can be tracked. But there's also on the sort of software and performance side, there's a benefit of knowing where on the screens the user is looking. So you can do what's called foveated rendering, where you render that part of the screen in the highest possible resolution, and the rest of the screen, which is already in the user's sort of peripheral vision, is being rendered at a lower resolution, so you can squeeze out more performance of these mobile chips. They moved the battery to the back of the headset.
Yeah, because this is much thinner, right?
It
the
is.
front part
So
is much
there are
thinner.
2 reasons why it's thinner. One of them is they removed the entire power platform, so the entire battery pack to the back
It's in the
for
back.
weight distribution
Okay.
purposes. And then they also changed the lens technology, so they now use what's called pancake lenses, which are much thinner than the usual Fresnel lenses, which just makes it possible to have like a thinner headset that sticks out less from your head, which also gives better comfort, but also like the lens technology is just superior in every way. Like one of the things that the Quest 2 has an issue with, and all low-cost standalone headsets, is these Fresnel lenses only have like a single point on the screen where your vision is really sharp, and that is much bigger. It's basically the entire screen with these.
So really, your
pancake
field of
lenses.
vision is much bigger.
Much bigger, and it's much easier to get it adjusted, so
Right.
you look very clear.
Now it's heavier than the Quest 2, right?
Yeah.
Is that a good thing, bad thing? How do you guys feel about it? Because I mean, already right now, after a few minutes, hours wearing a headset, it can become
I actually don't think it will
irritating.
feel that more heavy.
Okay.
Because they actually distributed that weight. So we've seen that also with the HoloLens and stuff like that from the first HoloLens. It was quite heavy.
The padding actually looks really nice too in the back here.
It does. It look comfortable. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So let's talk about these new snazzy handles. One thing I noticed is that the ring in the top is gone. Suna, you seem to know quite a little bit more about this than Mass does. Mass, we've got some questions for you.
Absolutely.
It's all good. Suna,
Yeah.
tell us about these new controllers.
So basically, in the current generation on the Quest 2, those there are ring controllers with the IR emitters in them, so infrared light that the headset is tracking. So the headset keeps track of where your hands are, which also means you have to have your controllers in the field of
in
view.
front of you, right?
Exactly. These controllers actually have like quite a beefy CPU inside them and 3 cameras each, so they themselves keep track of where they are in space.
Okay. And how do they communicate with the headset?
Just through like a high frequency wireless connection directly
All
to
right.
the and it's quite impressive. Like they put in a processor that is usually used for like a sort of mid-range tablet. So it's actually the same that's used in like I think it's the Samsung Galaxy A7 or something like that. So a few years old, but still it's quite a beefy processor.
And this is the Snapdragon XR2.
No, that
Plus?
in the controllers they use what's called Snapdragon 662. So that's a slightly older and
Okay.
but yeah, in the headset itself they use the new Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Plus.
Okay, and with all that juice, it seems to have had some type of effect on the overall battery life, which is now at only 1-2 hours at best.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I think, we don't see that much use cases where you use it more than 2 hours.
Okay. All right.
But I would say when we look at the videos and marketing material that came out with it, where you sit and work at your desktop, with screens and everything, then, you need a longer battery time than 2 hours.
Well, the thing that I was struck by is that they have now the wireless charging, so it's almost as if they're thinking that this will be like we're sitting here. This will just be a natural extension of our work environment. Where I'll put it on for a little while. I'll do a little collaboration with you guys here, so we can look at something in 3D, take it off, and then just put it next to us. That seems as though that they're doubling down on that use case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one thing that they also mentioned after the show is that 1 to 2 hours is if you use all the new features, all the new sensors.
Right.
So each application can actually shut those down, and you can reach a battery life that is more similar to the current Quest 2. But I think you're very right that it will be sort of tied to a desk. Like you need to have your charging station within reach, which is a shame because with the color pass-through, they could open up to a lot of really interesting like AR mixed reality type scenarios where you would maybe like to actually bring it on site somewhere, like at a technical installation or whatever. And those type of use cases is limited if you need that charging station close by all the time.
Hopefully they'll think about that in the next iteration. I mean, who knows when they come out with the next one, but at the pace that things have gone over the last few years, maybe within a year, I feel as though they're being pressured by other companies, which we can talk about in just a few seconds. All right, so the suggested retail price is a whopping $1,500 US. Ooh, that seems pretty steep given the financial economic situation of the world today. Who is Meta targeting with such a steep price point?
Actually, I don't think it's that steep for
you
such,
don't.
No. For such a
But
technology
for the average
and stuff like
all
that.
right, let
For
me
a
put it another way.
consumer,
Considering the current price point,
yeah.
which is a little bit different.
Yes, it is.
This is I don't know what the current price is. What 300,
4 to 500. Yeah.
4 to 500.
The two
So
different
triple
versions.
up on that. So who are they targeting with this product?
Enterprises.
Okay, so companies.
Yes. No doubt.
Enterprises, prosumers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's also worth mentioning that they sell every Quest 2 at a loss today. So they actually, like the individual components and actually manufacturing and shipping it costs more than the end consumer pays. So they do this to get it out in as many consumers' hands as possible. Whereas this is like, I don't think they're going to be rich just selling the headset, but I think it's at a price point where they actually don't have a loss on each and every headset they sell. So I think it's, as Matt says, it's more reasonable. Like if you buy a new laptop, you spend $1,500.
No, I agree.
So.
I guess it's all about price parity right now. We haven't seen a headset come out like this in a while, not at this price point. And considering the rather significant steep between the current Oculus or Meta Quest 2, it does seem a bit steep. Moving forward, guys. So they had the CEO of Microsoft. All right, power's off. So they had the CEO of Microsoft join them on stage, and they made this big announcement. So according to the overall gist of it is that now you can get Windows apps in Quest. Did you guys see this coming?
Yes. Well, we didn't see the collaboration with them, but I think what kind of leaked was, that Meta wanted to go into the workstations where you sit at your desk and work from your desk and stuff like that, with a lot of screens in there. But I didn't see that they would collaborate at this level. So I think that's super interesting.
So do you really want to sit in virtual reality at your desk and look at Outlook, look at Word, look at Excel? What's the point?
Yeah, I don't really don't know, because I don't think that's the right approach to use these technologies, to just bring 2D screens into your face and then you can have more 2D screens sitting at your desk. I would say that's why we do things differently here at Synergy XR, right? So we work in the 3D environment and utilize the 3D environment, and that's where the technologies use it what it's good for. And I don't think that people would sit every day with a headset on and work that way.
It has to make sense.
It has to make sense, right?
Yeah, going into a 3D world to have a 2D Teams experience just is beyond me. But hey, who knows? That's not for us to decide. The jury is still out on that. So moving forward, another big news is that Meta is partnering with Accenture. Accenture, if I'm not mistaken, recently acquired 60,000 headsets, Oculus headsets. That was about a year, maybe a year and a half.
Headsets,
Quest 2 headsets, yeah. So why Accenture? Why are they doing this?
I think they have a lot of experience actually like rolling it out and onboarding people using XR technology or VR specifically. So I think they will be sort of the end user enablers. Yeah, exactly. To try and not just like push some tech, but also some use cases and some best practices and stuff like that. I think that will be their main sort of job in this collaboration.
It's interesting to see how Meta's starting to build this ecosystem. It's almost like they're putting up their defenses. Maybe there's some other company that's coming out with something big soon. Who would that be?
Well, you never know.
Rumor has it. Rumor has it. Rumor has had it for a while, though.
All right.
No.
I don't know.
There's no big surprise. Apple's planning to come out with theirs. They keep pushing the date, but some estimates, most estimates put it at early 2023.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody's best guess right now. They don't say anything.
No.
So.
We'll come back. They do not say anything. No. So a few more questions. There's a lot of focus on avatars. Mark Zuckerberg went out and said, legs are hard. Legs are hard. Suna, why are legs hard?
Well, it's basically because, let's take a simple example, right? Usually you have your headset on, so the headset knows where that is, and you have your controller. So you have those 3 points in space. And just being able to correctly predict where your elbow is when you move your arm is actually quite hard. And the thing is, we as humans see it all the time. So if we see something that looks off, it looks really wrong. So that alone, like that inverse kinematic calculations and being able to predict where the elbow would be at any given point is quite hard. Now add to the fact that we do not track the knees or the feet or the ankle. So they need to, just by how you move, they need to start predicting how your lower part of your body and your legs and your joints will look.
Okay.
And they showed like a really, really impressive video of them like really having exceptional tracking of legs, and quite soon thereafter had to give a disclaimer that was actually recording using like motion capture software.
Right.
Like you would today, because that would have been insane if they could do that. But that's what I'm sort of hinting at with these like controllers with a lot of processing power in it. All of a sudden you have some cameras like away from your body that might be able to give some input to that model of how your legs should look. They have shared some more reasonable like research videos, which is still quite impressive what they can predict using like AI models and stuff like that. So I think it's just the end use case is just to look like it should look more natural instead of like floating torsos with arms. Just like seeing an entire avatar body is sort of the holy grail.
Well, I think at the end of the day, obviously there's lots of other exciting things going on. We probably think so, but in order to get people actually more comfortable with the metaverse and see a digital representation of themselves, I guess legs are important.
It is. Yeah.
Super important.
Right. It's also really important if people can actually start looking at how they dress in the metaverse.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have any legs, you don't have any feet, how are you going to wear the nice sneaks in the metaverse, right?
Exactly.
Cool. All right. What do all of these announcements, we talked about Accenture, we talked about Microsoft, we talked about Meta now. What does all this mean, both in terms of hardware and software for us here at Synergy XR? Matt, let's start with you.
Well, it means a lot. So that there's more focus on the business applications within this area, which we saw years ago. And that's why we also built the Synergy XR. I think the whole potential is being shown now from Meta is a big thing. It's a market education out there. There's so much potential to harvest from these technologies.
Right.
And we are in that area. That's what we do here at Synergy XR. So that's super important for us, these developments that is happening right now.
So you feel all this is moving the needle?
Yeah. There's no doubt that it's moving the needle in the right direction for us.
Right. As soon as a CTO, as a tech guy, how do you feel about this?
I think it's always like I always say, Synergy XR should be at any relevant XR, like be available on any relevant XR device, and this is definitely a relevant XR device, and we're lucky enough that it will just like Synergy XR will work on launch day on this because it's sort of the same chipset and everything as the Quest 2. Hopefully we will see a lot of companies starting to more buy into it. Like it will also be possible to sort of manage these systems like big corporations are used to managing IT hardware and stuff like that. So hopefully that will make it easier for some of the larger corporations to sort of buy into it, even though it's more expensive. If it's easier for them to handle, it's worth the extra dollar.
Sure.
So
I mean, in an enterprise context, this price point isn't that high.
No.
I mean, it's just under the price of an iPhone, right, or a mobile phone.
Compared to the value that you can create with these technologies, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I think from a technical perspective, I think it's also important to remember back at when the Quest 2 launched and where it is right now. Like they added hands tracking just by pure software updates. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they will add on top of this platform just through software updates, because it is rather capable, even though a lot of the extra processing power is also used for like managing all the sensors and stuff like that. But it's going to be interesting to sit here in a year from now and see like how far they push the platform. So I think they are investing heavily, and it shows with a device like this.
Absolutely. And we've ordered ours.
Yeah, sure.
And it'll be here in
I think October 25th. So
Great.
yeah.
All right. So we'll get our hands on it. We'll do an unboxing. We'll do a proper review and share that with the community. Thanks for joining me, guys. If you guys want to know more about who we are, what we do, we'll talk. We talk at length about this subject. Also have tons of articles and webinars. You can find more at synergyxr.com. That's synergyxr.com. Thanks for joining us, guys. So going back to